Butternut squash and leek soup is a dish that I serve to my guests on Thanksgiving. It's super delicious, it's really not hard to make, and it's something everyone should be serving this Thanksgiving, accompanying their turkey. The key ingredients to butternut squash and leek soup is, of course, butternut squash. The next ingredient that makes the soup super sweet are leeks. You're going to remove the greens and use only the white part. Some unsalted butter, 5 tablespoons, some fresh thyme, chicken stock, and we're going to have the most delicious soup you've ever tasted. So we're over at the cooktop now, and we've already washed and roughly chopped our leeks, as you can see here. So the first thing we're going to do is turn the heat to high, and we're going to add our 5 tablespoons of unsalted butter to the pan. Melt this butter. It doesn't have to be completely melted, you just want to give it a little start so the butter is coating the bottom of the pan before you add your leeks so that the leeks don't stick to the hot pan and burn. So we're going to add 1 3/4 cups of chopped, cleaned leeks. And we're going to cook these leeks for a few minutes until they turn translucent in color. So as you can see, our leeks are coated with the butter and they're warming up nicely. Now that our leeks are translucent in color, they're soft, covered in the butter, they're glistening, they look beautiful, we're going to add our butternut squash. We're adding 8 cups of butternut squash, cleaned and cut into these chunk sizes. So we're just going to add that to the pan. So now we're going to stir, fold the butternut squash to coat the butternut squash with the butter and the leeks, tossing it all around. Just as the leeks were glistening with the butter coating them, we want the butternut squash to look the same. That's what we're looking for. So that looks great. Now we're ready to add a teaspoon of salt. And again, just give it a quick stir. We're going to add 6 cups of chicken stock. And really what you're looking for is for the chicken stock to cover the squash. So as you can see, there's enough stock in the pot that it's covering our butternut squash. So we're going to add some fresh thyme. I just picked this in the garden this morning. If you don't have it growing in your herb garden, buy it at the grocery store in the fresh herbs section. Just going to pull, I'm going to say about a tablespoon and a half of fresh thyme leaves to the pan. This really gives it a great flavor. We're going to let this cook for 40 minutes on medium to medium-high heat. We're going to cover it, let it cook, and we'll be back to it later. After 40 minutes of boiling your butternut squash and leeks in your chicken stock, you're going to have this gorgeous looking, soft, fork tender, beautiful cooked butternut squash. It smells out of this world delicious. You can smell the thyme and the leeks. Very simply, you're going to take a hand pureer. So simple, you leave your soup right in the pot that you've cooked it in, you add this right to the pan and you start buzzing away. And it's going to puree all of your squash and leeks to a nice smooth consistency. And you can see as you're pureeing, it's getting thicker. And you're just going to continue pureeing until all the pieces are smooth, incorporated, and you have a nice creamy soup. And that's it. So we've pureed our butternut squash and leeks. You can make this ahead up to this point. When you're ready to serve it, what you're going to do is put it on the cooktop on a low heat and just warm it. You're not cooking it again, it's already cooked. But you just want to warm it up, and then you're going to add 1 cup of heavy cream and 1 cup of whole milk. I really recommend you adding the milk and the cream when you're ready to serve. 1 cup of heavy cream, right in, 1 cup of whole milk, and then just going to give it a stir, and you can see this beautiful light orange color, smelling delicious, looking luscious. Look how creamy and smooth that is. So our final touches to our butternut squash and leek soup would be 1 teaspoon of dried thyme and 1 teaspoon of white pepper. Just going to add that to the soup right before serving. I'm going to stir it up. I'm going to plate this up and show you how I garnish it for my family. We have our soup, and I love to add fresh chives. Just snip them right over your bowl, right into your soup. A little sprinkling of Parmesan on top, and you have a wonderful soup to accompany your Thanksgiving meal or any dinner at this time of year during the fall. And now for a taste of our butternut squash and leek soup. It's delicious. You really need to try this. You will not be disappointed. Happy Thanksgiving.